Now, before you get too concerned, I know we titled this episode XRP Ledger Attacked. The XRP Ledger is doing fantastic. It's doing what it's supposed to do. And once again, with open source permissionless technology, anybody can use this ledger for whatever they want. And so if they want to put inscriptions on the XRP Ledger, they can. Now, maybe you know about this. You've been watching what's been happening with Bitcoin and the Bitcoin ordinals, the inscriptions that they've done, basically putting NFTs on the Bitcoin ledger. And the Bitcoin ledger has kind of struggled with that. The fees now going up to $30 to $40 to send a Bitcoin transaction. Comparing that with what just took place on the XRP ledger, you can see the resiliency and strength of the XRP ledger shining here. Now, you guys know that I'm just some doofus moron. I don't understand the technicalities of this. And so I spent today listening in Twitter Spaces. I want to give a huge shout out to Vet, Death Ranger, some of the other XRP ledger developers, Dennis from XRPL Labs. Learned a lot in the spaces today. And I also want to give a shout out to Neil Hartner for answering one of my questions and providing some more insight as well. Senior software developer working on ODL at Ripple. That's Neil Hartner. So huge shout out to all the developers that are securing the XRP ledger. Everything is great. And we have defended off the XRP ledger against another attack. This is something that we actually love to see. We actually get to test the bandwidth, the throughput of the XRP ledger as well. And so without further ado, I'm going to let people that are smarter than me break this down, but we're going to take a quick peek at the charts and see how we are trading post-Christmas. I hope everyone had a fantastic holiday with the family. 42,420 is where we're trading at for Bitcoin right now, back below 42,000. These are daily candlesticks right here. And so we have started the new day on the Bitcoin chart as we record this here. This is almost about 5 o'clock on the West Coast, 8 p.m. Eastern. 2227 for Ethereum, so 2200 for Ethereum, and XRP back up to 62 cents, briefly touching down here at the 60 cent level once again. Incredible for support for XRP here, right at that 58 to 60 cent level. Love to see it. And XLM is back up to 12.5 cents. Real quick, the stocks were back up today for the S&P 500, for the Dow Jones, and for the NASDAQ 100. We now have just 3 more trading days. That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then that is it for the stock market. That will be the completion of stocks trading in 2023, so we'll be watching that very closely. Now, this is what took place here, folks. Let's take a look at it. This account has been suspended. This is the XRP script account. This is the account that was doing this. They were adding inscriptions to the XRP ledger, very similar to what they've been doing with the Bitcoin ordinals. This is how they've been able to put NFTs on the Bitcoin ledger. Now they're doing the same thing for the XRP ledger. And they say, in recent days, our inscription service has accounted for over 80% of the transaction volume on the XRP ledger, leading to a paralysis of the basic infrastructure such as wallets and nodes in the original XRP Ledger ecosystem. Now, before we go any further, that is not true. There was no paralysis. The XRP Ledger did not stop. Fees escalated for a brief moment in time, but it's operating just fine. There was no paralysis or stopping of the XRP Ledger infrastructure. Nice try. They're trying to take credit for more than what they actually did accomplish with their silly little attack. We deeply regret this. For the common growth of the community, starting from index, whatever, the inscription service will be suspended, so they've ended it. And effective immediately, we will engage in friendly consultations with the XRPL community. Please look forward to our good news. Your funds are safe. Please stay tuned for further notices. Their account has now been suspended. I don't know why it was, but Neil Hartner, huge shout out to Neil, senior staff software engineer at Ripple working on ODL. He says, seems like people didn't get the message that this XRPL inscription mint hot mess has been suspended, yet transaction spamming continues. This person right here says they started this specifically to DDoS the network and to try to bring it down. Even this quote unquote emergency announcement is just here to try to promote the idea that they brought down the network, but they didn't. This never had anything to do with ordinals. Now, for those of you who are asking, right, what are ordinals? Well, let's take a look at it. This right here shows you guys what we're talking about right here. Ordinals are means of creating Bitcoin NFTs by attaching data such as images, videos, and more to an individual Satoshi on the base Bitcoin blockchain. Unlike their predecessors, ordinal NFTs don't exist on a separate layer from Bitcoin. So this is how they did a little workaround to be able to put NFTs. In this case, they're called ordinal inscriptions on mainnet Bitcoin Ledger. So even though through XLS 20, we have the ability to mint NFTs on mainnet XRPL, whoever this was, basically what they're doing is they're offering a service, being able to create inscriptions on the XRPL so that folks can sell them later. And this is what comes with an open source, permissionless, decentralized network, is that you can create an NFT of a pudgy penguin on the network. You can create an NFT of a monkey on the ledger, or you can put inscriptions on the XRP ledger just like they were doing. And it did bog down the network slightly. It did put a little bit of a stress test on the network, absolutely. And of course, the XRP haters and those that want to spread FUD about XRP took this opportunity to jump on this and spread misinformation. Let's take a look at it. So we have this account here, Scam Daddy, Scam Detective 6, saying that Bitcoin has been handling millions of inscriptions for many months with no issue, but a few days on the XRPL, quote, paralyzed the basic infrastructure. Well, that's just not true. And when you take a look at it, actually, Neil Hartner responded, and he said that Bitcoin has never handled more than 500,000 inscriptions in a single day. In the past 24 hours, the XRPL has handled over 2.6 million of these inscription transactions, if you can call them that. So facts matter, and the FUDsters don't care about that. They just hop on any chance they can to spread misinformation, disinformation, and FUD about the XRP ledger. But a huge shout out to the developers who, are able to come in here, explain what's going on to doofus morons like myself, who, I'm still trying to figure out what the heck they're even doing. But a huge shout out to the developers to break this down, answer our questions, and to hold up the ledger against this attack. And before I ran with today's title of the XRPL being attacked, I actually went into the spaces and I asked these developers directly, was this bad? Was this an attack? Were they just trying to do something cool with that ledger? And, Dennis from XRPL Labs did say that there was a malicious intent behind this and some of the things that they were doing. And XRPL Adam responds here too. He says, he's responding to this comment, the original one from the XRPL script deal here, this account. He says, it's funny since the network was never at risk. Fee escalation only kicked in for a few seconds at a time. It never really taxed the network. Only a few underpowered validators were too slow for consensus at times. If people are hand-wringing over this, then they've never experienced traffic on other chains. So while other chains actually go down, stop, transactions, it do come to a halt, our fees bumped up for a few seconds, which the fees were still really cheap. Instead of costing you, a tenth of a penny or whatever they normally cost, they cost you half a penny or whatever it was. I think it was even less than that. So the network was never at risk. Don't let any of these FUDsters try to tell you that it was. Never was at risk. And the fact of the matter is that we just have some validators that just need to up their infrastructure. We have 35 validators on this UNL list, which is the default UNL list, the validators that do confirm the network, the ones that matter, the ones that vote on amendments. You have over 100 different nodes and validators in that regard, but you have 35 that make up the list that can actually vote on amendments, like the automated market maker that we've been talking about recently, right? And some of them are universities, some like Arrington Capital. Arrington Capital doesn't actually maintain the infrastructure themselves. They basically just put their name on some validators that somebody else is running. And I was talking with Vet about this, about, how eventually I hope that we can get to the point where, dummies like me can just send my $500 a month or my $1,000 a month to somebody else to run it. I mean, because that's what would have to be done for someone like me to run a validator. I don't know how to run this stuff. I don't play around with computers, but I would be happy to pay, whatever it costs to set up the network and help run it. But I would need somebody else to do that for me. And so you have folks like Arrington Capital, with a little bit of money behind them, obviously, they're able to run a validator by basically just putting their name on somebody else's equipment. But you also have universities, you have some other validators too, that just need to up their infrastructure. And I was listening to Vet talk about this. he said that here recently he updated his validators. Actually, he said like he tripled or quadrupled the power and the strength and the storage capabilities of his validator in preparation for AMM, because this has a lot of people saying, okay, this is a test. We get to see what the XRPL can actually do for transactions per second, because we have people that tout 1,000 TPS, 4,000 TPS in a lab setting. We've heard Ripple say in the past that their private version of the XRPL can do hundreds of thousands of transactions per second. So in controlled environments, in walled gardens, in Ripple's private version, you can do 100,000 TPS. Here on the mainnet, though, we were having a little bit of a struggle. Didn't crash the network, but a little bit of a tension, I guess we could say. And that was when we were only at an average of 50 TPS. Now, we have been doing more, and we do more than that on a regular basis. But we have Wietse coming in right here from XRPL Labs. He says, with the fake inscription transactions on the XRPL, we get a free TPS test on XRPL mainnet. So this is a good thing right now. We're getting a free test of the public infrastructure, of the public validators. How much TPS can we put through this thing? At 50 TPS, validators start to take turns in keeping up with the validations. See next tweet. You can see this for yourself at livenet.xrpl.org. This is what's so great, is that we can all watch this. It's all open source, permissionless, and decentralized. We're not all, we're not calling up Ripple and, tweeting at Ripple, oh, Ripple, save the day. No, this is up to, our decentralized validators to come in and make sure this happens. He says, not FUD. I'm actually grateful we now get to finally, hopefully, end this discussion about TPS and discuss how we can do better in 2024. And that's what's important, right? If we need more infrastructure, if we need to get behind this, then let's get it done. Personally, as a doofus moron who is not a techie, just let me know where I need to send the check, and I'd be happy to support, right? That's where I'm at with this whole thing. But he shows here in some of these pictures, we can take a look at this. This is Ripple.com, missed one, transaction, I guess. This one, University of California, maybe. I don't know which university that is. Flagship Solutions Group, one of the other ones. And then this one's the Arrington Capital one. Okay. So you can see here that the network did have a little strain on it, but we did pull through. And as Wietse says right here, this is not the failure of the validation process. The validation consensus process is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It moves on, making forward progress, while others are in disagreement or lagging, Now, what's so funny about this is exactly what the Bitcoin bros say too. Oh, the network's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. We're up to $30, $40 per in fees per transaction for Bitcoin. The average fee right now is over $30. And the Bitcoin bros will respond, that network's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. It's decentralized. Fees go up. You want to use our network? You better have $30. Well, that's exactly the problem with why your network will never be a global standard of actually moving a significant amount of value. Now, it might be able to store some value and move it around in a very slow, inefficient and expensive way. Congratulations. But compare that to XRPL, the fees went up to 1/10 of a penny to half a penny. What are we talking about? You can still use the network. You're still pushing 50 TPS or more compared to Bitcoin, which is still at 7 TPS, or compare it to these other networks that just crash. Now, the challenge is, if this happens at 50 TPS, what happens at 100? What if nodes aren't yet on negative UNL and more keep flapping? It's fragile, that's what I'm saying. Too fragile if one nefarious actor with 30 spam wallets can get this to happen. Now, Neil comes in here and he says there were over 32,000 unique XRP Ledger accounts that sent payments to the project. I assume most are controlled by a small number of bots. The 10 transaction per account per ledger limit can be circumvented by creating lots of accounts, but it costs them in account reserves. So this is one of the reasons why we have that 10 XRP minimum on our wallets. And this is why I didn't know this. So I actually tweeted out at Neil. I asked him, the 10 transactions per account per ledger limit, is this in place now? And he did respond, yes. And he shared the transaction queue. And I guess I didn't know this, but apparently one wallet, one account can only send 10 transactions per account per ledger. Now, the ledgers close every 3 to 5 seconds, right? And so you can send 10 transactions per your account per ledger. That is the limit. So what they had to do is they created 32,000 unique XRP Ledger accounts, which you times that by 10, right? That'd be 320,000 XRP, right? That they had to lock up just to be able to do this attack. They had to lock up 320,000 XRP, okay? And then they were able to use their bots or whatever to send payments to this project, and they were able to circumvent that by creating lots of accounts. But it did cost them in account reserves, which is another kind of defense measure that we have set up against being able to spam the network. So all in all, in conclusion, folks, the XRPL Ledger doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Fees escalated slightly for a little bit. We had a few validators that were lagging. We eventually got caught up to speed. We were still maintaining consensus. We were still validating the network. We were still pushing transactions through. The network never stopped. And we got a free test of the network, which was good to see. This is all good to see. And it's important because we have additional utilities that are coming to the XRPL. And first off, I want to be able to make sure that we're able to handle this load, the increased throughput. But as I've been saying, as we get all of this happening, all this activity, and just for example, if we start to burn twice as much in fees through escalated transaction fees, that's more XRP that's getting burned. So the more people that are using this network, the more XRP that's getting burned, which means the XRP that me and you hold that's buried in our cold storage wallet in our backyard, it becomes even more scarce as people use the XRPL for inscriptions. They use it to vote. They use it to create NFTs. They use it for AMM, send payments, cross-border. We can tokenize real estate on this thing. We can do derivatives. You see where this goes? We got to make sure that we have the throughput. We want to be able to support the developers, support the infrastructure, and make sure that we can handle all this. And we're going to bring additional utilities to the XRP Ledger. This is a beautiful thing, folks. So once again, in conclusion, we defend ourselves from another attack, another successful defense by the XRP Ledger validators and the developers that are running this thing. So a huge shout out to them. All is well in the XRP community. And as I put out in the video this morning, maybe you guys missed that. I'll put the link up here if you want to watch that video. We are talking about the 2024 bull run has begun. It is already starting. We get little hiccups here. This was a little bump in the road, which we got through rather quickly. I'm watching for other black swan scenarios so that I can scoop up that dip, scoop up that crash. But where we're heading is we already got the legal clarity. Now we get the additional utilities, and we have a flood of institutional money that's coming in as well. We absolutely love to see it. We are primed in a perfect spot. And as our developers keep working so diligently on beefing up our infrastructure, beefing up the XRPL, we will be prepared for the institutional liquidity and volume that is coming our way. And it's going to be a beautiful thing. And a lot more XRP is going to be getting burned. And a lot more people are going to be wanting to hold XRP. And I'll let you guys speculate on what that's going to do to the XRP price. If you appreciate the update, make sure you like this video, share it out far and wide. Let everyone know that the XRPL is doing what it's supposed to do. It's still moving value at fractions of a penny, closing ledgers every 3 to 5 seconds, and all is well in the XRP community. God bless all of you. I'll see you in the next one.